The galaxy had grown quiet under the rule of the Overlord could not calculate the human mind. Their machines could not predict human daring. Shields holding at 80%, Lieutenant Vale reported. Weapons online, Admiral. We can strike now. Kira's voice was calm, steady, but carried a weight that made the crew listen. Target the command ship. Take it down, and the rest will falter. Human ingenuity will do the rest. The Dreadnoughts. Massive cannons roared, hurling concentrated plasma bolts at the Overlord command vessel. The first hit rocked the enemy ship, causing sparks and cascading explosions across its hull. For the first time, the Overlords felt the sting of defeat. Their fighters faltered, confused by the human ship's boldness. Their battleships tried to adapt, but every move the humans made seemed designed to counter them perfectly. On the bridge, the crew worked in perfect harmony. Engineers rerouted power to shields when the hull groaned under the impact. Pilots executed daring evasive maneuvers, weaving through swarms of enemy fighters with precision that defied belief. Soldiers manned weapon stations, firing relentlessly at the waves of attackers. Every human on the ship was more than a crew member. They were a living, breathing force of resistance. A massive Overlord destroyer loomed ahead, its energy cannons glowing with deadly intensity. "Incoming fire!" shouted an officer. Beams of concentrated energy streaked toward the Dreadnought, each one capable of reducing the massive vessel to fragments. The bridge shook as the first hits struck, sending sparks flying across consoles. Kira's hand moved swiftly over the controls. Divert power to forward shields. We are not leaving this battlefield as victims. Return fire. Focus on their weak points. The Titan's wrath surged, twisting and rotating to minimize damage while striking back with unmatched force. The destroyer's shields faltered, then collapsed under the relentless human assault. The battleship erupted in fire and debris, drifting helplessly into the void. Crew members exchanged stunned looks. They had destroyed a ship thought indestructible. Humanity had done the impossible again. In the Overlord command center, panic spread like wildfire. Screens flashed with warnings. Alarms blared incessantly. "A single human ship is breaching our defenses. Divert all fire," one commander screamed, disbelief twisting his face. For the first time, the Overlords realized that humans were not predictable, not controllable, and not to be underestimated. Kira watched the battlefield, her pulse steady, mind sharp. She saw the fear in the enemy's movements, the hesitation, the disarray. This was the moment humans had trained for, the moment their courage and ingenuity would prove stronger than fear, stronger than numbers, stronger than a century of tyranny. She leaned over the console, voice calm but resolute. "But keep moving, keep fighting. Humanity does not surrender. Strike them where they think we cannot. Show them that their power is not absolute." The Dreadnought continued its assault, weaving between firestorms, dodging death at every turn, and delivering destruction with precision. Each shot, each maneuver sent a clear message across the galaxy. Humans were not weak. Humans were not primitive. Humans were unstoppable when they refused to bow. And in that moment, as the Overlord fleet staggered under the unexpected assault, the first true spark of fear lit in their eyes. One human ship had entered their stronghold, and it was already changing the course of the galaxy. The battle raged on, shaking the void of space with fire and explosions. The Titan's wrath had broken through the first lines of the Overlord fleet, but the fight was far from over. The enemy had a secret weapon, a massive energy cannon, larger than any ship the humans had ever faced, designed to obliterate worlds. Sensors warned that it was powering up, its energy glowing like a second sun in the darkness. "Admiral," Lieutenant Vale said, voice tight with tension, "that cannon, if it fires, it will destroy us." Kira's jaw tightened. She could see the immense energy building in the weapon. It was terrifying, impossible, a machine of total destruction. The crew glanced nervously at her, eyes wide. Fear was thick in the air, but Kira knew this was the defining moment. They could not falter. Humanity had never surrendered, and they would not start now. Brace for impact. she said calmly, though her heart raced. Her hands moved over the controls with practiced precision, issuing orders that seemed impossible to follow. Divert all power to shields, keep the engines steady. Human ingenuity is our weapon as much as firepower. Do not panic. The cannon fired. A massive beam of pure energy tore through the void toward the Titan's wrath, lighting up the darkness. With a blinding flash, the Dreadnought shook violently, alarms screaming across the bridge. Sparks flew from consoles. Some crew members were thrown from their stations, bleeding, but Kira's voice cut through the chaos. Focus, keep fighting. Humans do not break. Engineers scrambled, rerouting power to stabilize the shields. Pilots leaned into controls, guiding the ship through evasive maneuvers so precise they seemed impossible. Soldiers continued firing at the enemy fighters, refusing to give an inch. Every member of the crew worked in perfect coordination, a single pulse of determination and skill. Kira felt a surge of pride and awe. These humans were extraordinary, not because of their weapons or technology, but because of their will. They refused to die quietly. They refused to surrender. Every move was a testament to humanity's unbreakable spirit. Return fire, Kira shouted. Hit the cannon before it can charge again. Target the generator. The Dreadnought's main cannons roared, firing concentrated plasma beams at the massive energy weapon. Sparks flew across its hull, systems failed, and the weapon faltered, its devastating energy fading before it could strike again. The Overlord's first truly terrifying defense had failed against the courage of humans. Status report, Kira demanded. Shields holding, hull damage manageable. Weapons ready. Lieutenant Vale responded, voice full of relief and renewed determination. The crew erupted into action, pressing their advantage. The Titan's wrath twisted and surged, dodging fire while striking at the enemy command vessels with precision. Each explosion that rocked the Overlord fleet sent a shockwave of hope through the humans aboard. They were proving the impossible could be done. One ship, against overwhelming odds, was toppling a fleet that had dominated the galaxy for centuries. The heart of the Overlord Armada, panic spread like wildfire. Orders were shouted and ignored. Formations broke apart, and fear replaced confidence. They had never seen a single human vessel survive such attacks. The Overlords had counted on fear to control the galaxy, but now fear had found them. Kira gritted her teeth, heart pounding, voice calm but fierce. We push forward, every second counts. Humanity is not weak. Humanity is not expendable. Humanity will not bow. Remember that. Show them everything we are. The Titan's wrath surged again, weaving through enemy fire, dodging impossible odds, and striking with precision. Each move carried the weight of history, every blast a declaration that humans were not to be ignored. The galaxy, vast and dark, watched as a single human ship defied everything the Overlords had built. The turning point had come. Humanity was no longer hiding, no longer fearing, and no longer underestimated. The war that would reshape the stars had begun, and there was no turning back. The Titan's wrath moved like a silent storm, slipping past the shattered remnants of the Overlord fleet. Smoke and sparks trailed in the void, the carcasses of enemy ships drifting aimlessly after their destruction. Every explosion, every fallen vessel, was a message the galaxy would never forget. Humans could fight, humans could endure, and humans would never bow. Admiral Kira Santos stood at the bridge, her gaze fixed on the massive command hub at the heart of the Overlord Armada. The building-sized vessel glowed ominously, bristling with weapons and defenses. It was the heart of their empire, the source of control and fear that had ruled countless systems. Kira's hand hovered over the console. She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. The crew had followed her into impossible odds, and now, together, they would strike at the very core of the enemy's power. Prepare the main cannons, she said calmly. We end this, or we die trying. Her voice carried both resolve and an unspoken promise to her crew. Humanity would rise no matter the cost. The crew moved like one organism, executing every maneuver with precision. Pilots steered the Dreadnought through the maze of debris and disabled ships, dodging residual energy blasts and debris fields. Engineers rerouted power to shields and weapons, ensuring the Titan's wrath remained a deadly force despite its battered hull. Soldiers manned the cannons, firing relentlessly at the defensive turrets on the Overlord command hub. From the sensors, Lieutenant Vale reported, "Defenses weakening. Shields down 50%. Command hub systems offline on multiple sides." Kira allowed herself a small, sharp nod. "Good. Push forward. Focus on the central core. Their control ends today." As the Dreadnought drew closer, the Overlord, leaders inside the hub scrambled in panic. Their communications were fractured, orders ignored, and formations collapsing. They had never expected a single human ship to reach their inner sanctum, and now it had. The idea that one species thought weak and insignificant could challenge their power sent waves of fear through their ranks. Guards, a race so ancient and powerful that their reach stretched across hundreds of star systems. Their fleets were vast and merciless, patrolling every corner of known space. Worlds bent to their control, and civilizations learned quickly that resistance meant total annihilation. Yet on a small blue planet in a quiet corner of the Milky Way, humanity had survived, unnoticed and underestimated. Earth's defenses were primitive compared to the Overlord's standards, but what humans lacked in technology, they made up for in courage, creativity, and stubbornness. On the bridge of the Titan's wrath, humanity's newest Dreadnought, Admiral Kira Santo stood motionless, her eyes fixed on the glowing star lines that marked the edge of the Overlord's territory. The ship was massive, nearly a kilometer long, its hull bristling with weapons and shields that pulsed with soft blue light. Every inch of the vessel had been built with one purpose: to pierce the heart of the galaxy's most feared empire. Kira could feel the weight of the mission pressing on her shoulders. She was not just leading a crew. She was carrying the hopes of an entire species that had always been told it was weak, insignificant, and expendable. "This is it," Kira whispered, almost to herself. Her voice carried through the quiet of the bridge, barely heard above the hum of the ship's engines. "The moment they will see us for who we really are." Her crew, the finest humans Earth could produce, moved around her with a mix of nerves and excitement. Soldiers checked weapons, engineers ran last-minute diagnostics, and pilots stared at the holographic maps of enemy defenses. Each one of them had left families, friends, and ordinary lives behind to be part of something extraordinary. Every heartbeat on the ship seemed to echo with a single shared emotion: determination. Lieutenant Marcus Vale, the ship's weapons officer, glanced at Kira. "Admiral, they don't know we're coming. Our sensors show their fleets are spread thin in this sector. It's the perfect time to strike." Kira nodded slowly. "It's more than just a strike, Marcus. This is a statement. We've spent centuries hiding, waiting, building strength. The galaxy thinks humans are small, weak, disposable. They are about to learn how wrong they are." The crew exchanged glances. Fear was there, yes, but it was mixed with something stronger, a deep, unshakable courage. They had trained for this moment, and every drill, every test, every sleepless night had led to this. Even the youngest crew members, barely out of their teens, carried a fire in their hearts that refused to be extinguished. Outside, the void of space stretched endlessly, stars glittering like distant diamonds. Beyond that glittering curtain lay the Overlord's armada, a massive wall of metal, energy, and death. It was the kind of force that crushed entire civilizations with a single wave. Yet the humans did not flinch. Where the Overlord saw a small, fragile ship, humans saw possibility, audacity, and the spark of defiance that no weapon could extinguish. Kira turned to the main viewport, her reflection ghosting across the glass. Memories of Earth, of her childhood, of the stories of human perseverance flooded her mind. She remembered the tales of explorers, warriors, and scientists who had refused to surrender, even when the odds were impossible. That spirit lived within every member of this ship, and now it was about to be unleashed on a scale the galaxy had never seen. A soft chime echoed through the bridge. Sensors confirmed the Overlord forces ahead, massive ships bristling with weapons, ready to destroy anything that dared approach. Kira's hand rested lightly on the command console. She took a deep breath, feeling her pulse sync with the hum of the Dreadnought beneath her feet. "This is our moment," she said quietly, almost like a prayer. "They think they control the galaxy. They think they are invincible. They are about to meet humanity." And with that, the Titan's wrath began its silent glide into the darkness, a single human dreadnought carrying the pride, courage, and defiance of an entire species. The galaxy, vast and unfeeling, had never seen what was coming. The Titan's wrath glided through the dark emptiness of space, silent except for the low hum of its engines. Stars stretched endlessly around it, distant and cold, as if watching the daring humans who dared to challenge the galaxy's most feared rulers. Every crew member felt the tension, a tight knot in their chests, but it was tempered by a strange exhilaration. They were no longer hiding. They were stepping directly into the lion's den. Admiral Kira Santos stood at the bridge, eyes fixed on the holographic display of the Overlord's defenses. Layers of enemy ships and orbital weapons stretched for millions of kilometers, a fortress built to crush invaders without mercy. Their fighters swarmed like angry insects, their massive battleships bristling with glowing energy cannons capable of annihilating entire cities. Every detail was calculated, every movement anticipated. But humans were different, unpredictable, bold, relentless. "We are entering the first defense ring," Lieutenant Vale said, his voice steady but filled with excitement. "Sensors show 3 battleships and over 100 fighter swarms ahead. They're ready for us." Kira nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility press on her shoulders. "They think we are small, weak, and disposable. They will learn how wrong they are. Keep shields at maximum and weapons ready. But more than that, trust your instincts. Humans survive because we adapt, we improvise, we refuse to surrender." Her words seemed to ignite something in the crew. Engineers tightened their grips on consoles, soldiers adjusted their weapons, and pilots leaned into their controls as if the very ship itself was alive under their hands. Fear was there, yes, but it was sharpened by courage. A courage born from centuries of struggle, of survival against impossible odds. The first wave of Overlord fighters appeared, shimmering like silver shards against the backdrop of space. They dove at the Dreadnought in coordinated strikes, energy beams cutting through the void. But Kira had anticipated this. "Phase shift drive ready," she said calmly. The Titan's wrath shimmered, phasing between the gaps in the alien formation. The fighters collided with empty space, their attacks useless against a ship that moved unpredictably, with human cunning guiding every maneuver. From the weapons console, Lieutenant Vale grinned. "Their cannons are off target. Keep going, Admiral. We're inside their perimeter." Every move felt like a gamble, every second a test of skill and bravery. The Titan's wrath twisted and darted between fire, shields absorbing hits that would have torn apart smaller ships. Human pilots executed maneuvers that seemed impossible, weaving through enemy formations with daring that no algorithm could calculate. The Overlords, for the first time in centuries, felt uncertainty. They had never faced an enemy who refused to follow the rules. Kira watched the displays, heart pounding. Each successful maneuver brought them closer to the heart of the Overlord, command. Each fallen enemy ship fueled a quiet but growing excitement among the crew. They were not just fighting. They were proving something far greater. Humanity could not be crushed, could not be predicted, and would not bow. A sudden alert flashed across the bridge. Sensors detected a massive battleship moving to intercept them, its weapons bristling with deadly energy. The crew froze for a heartbeat, the weight of danger pressing on them. Kira's hand hovered over the command console. "We have one chance," she said, voice firm. "We hit hard and fast or we risk losing everything. Brace yourselves. Humans do not retreat." The Dreadnought surged forward, shields glowing, engines roaring. It was no longer a single ship. It was a symbol of defiance, a spear of humanity driven straight into the Empire's heart. Fighters swarmed, massive weapons fired, but the humans inside the Titan's wrath were steady, unbroken, and determined. Somewhere deep in the Overlord fleet, Alarm sirens screamed. Their sensors could not track the Dreadnought's erratic but precise movements. Panic began to ripple through their ranks. Humans were supposed to be small, weak, expendable, yet here they were. Inside the first line of defense, surviving attacks meant to destroy them, moving faster than their calculations allowed. Kira glanced at her crew, their faces pale but focused. She felt a surge of pride, awe, and determination, all at once. "We are not just fighting for victory," she whispered. "We are fighting to show the galaxy that humans will not be controlled, and they will never forget it." The Titan's wrath pushed deeper into the lion's den, each moment closer to the heart of the Overlord's empire. The galaxy had never seen such courage in one small blue planet's people, and they were only just beginning. The first wave of enemy fire struck like a thunderbolt. Energy beams tore through the void, exploding against the shields of the Titan's wrath in brilliant flashes of blue and white. The bridge shook violently as alarms blared, warning of incoming hits. Every human aboard felt the tremor of danger, but none wavered. Fear was there, yes, but it was sharpened by determination, a fierce fire burning in their hearts. Humans had survived worse, had risen from ruin countless times, and they would survive this. Admiral Kira Santos gripped the edge of the command console, eyes fixed on the holographic displays of the battlefield. She could see the enemy fighters and battleships converging, forming deadly patterns meant to crush anything that dared challenge them. Yet, the Titan's wrath moved like water, flowing unpredictably through the gaps in the formation. The Overlord's algorithms. Kira watched the displays, heart pounding but mind razor-sharp. She could see the courage and skill of her crew reflected in the numbers. Each cannon hit, each maneuver, each perfectly timed strike brought them closer to victory. "This is our moment," she said softly, almost to herself. "We are humans, and we will not be defeated." The Dreadnought's main guns fired in synchronized blasts, striking the core of the command hub. Massive explosions rocked the vessel, shaking it from center to edge. Energy cascaded through the Overlord systems, crippling communications, weapons, and control mechanisms. Sparks and fire erupted across the ship's surface as systems overloaded and failed. The heart of the Empire was falling apart, piece by piece. Around the bridge, the crew exchanged glances of awe and disbelief. Some smiled through exhaustion, others clenched their fists, feeling a surge of pride that no words could express. They had done what countless civilizations had failed to do: penetrate the Overlord's strongest fortress and leave it in ruins. Humanity had shown that courage, determination, and unity could achieve the impossible. Kira leaned forward, her eyes never leaving the displays. "Send the broadcast," she ordered. "Let the galaxy hear the voice of humanity." A calm, steady message pulsed through the shattered communications networks of the Overlord fleet. "This is humanity. We will not bow. Your control is over." The command hub shuddered under the relentless fire of the Titan's wrath. Alien commanders could do nothing but watch in horror as their systems collapsed. Their pride and power stripped away by a single human ship. Rebellion sparked in distant systems, inspired by what had just happened. The galaxy, for the first time in centuries, tasted freedom through the courage of humans who refused to be crushed. Kira exhaled slowly, feeling the weight of both victory and responsibility. They had breached the heart of the Empire, but the war was not over. Yet one thing was certain: the Overlords would never underestimate humanity again. The seeds of hope had been planted, and from this moment on, the galaxy would never be the same. Across the galaxy, alarms screamed. Holographic displays in Overlord command centers flickered and buzzed, showing chaos unlike anything they had ever faced. Entire fleets were crippled by a single human dreadnought. Ships designed to dominate star systems were drifting powerless in space. Communications were fractured, orders ignored, and fear spread like wildfire through the ranks. The Overlords were panicking. For the first time in countless centuries, their empire felt fragile. Inside the Titan's wrath, The crew watched the galaxy's reaction with a mix of awe and satisfaction. Admiral Kira Santos stood tall on the bridge, her hands resting lightly on the console. She could feel the tension in her chest, the weight of every human life watching this battle from home and from other ships. Yet she also felt pride. Humanity had shown courage the universe had never expected. They had endured, fought, and survived, against impossible odds, and now the galaxy was taking notice. "Reports are coming in," Lieutenant Vale said, voice still tight from the fight but laced with excitement. "Systems across 3 sectors have gone offline. Rebellions are breaking out on multiple planets. The Overlords, they don't know what to do." Kira's lips curved into a small, grim smile. "Good. Let them panic. Fear will spread faster than their fleets can recover. Humanity does not need to destroy every planet to prove its strength. Sometimes courage alone is enough to change the course of history." Around the bridge, the crew exchanged looks of disbelief and pride. Engineers continued working on the Dreadnought, patching damage and rerouting power to critical systems. Pilots checked trajectories, ready to dodge any remaining attacks. Soldiers maintained focus on their targets, firing at the last pockets of resistance. Every human aboard was a spark of hope, determination, and defiance. In distant Overlord fleets, commanders screamed into comlinks, trying desperately to coordinate a response. Orders collided and contradicted each other. Fighter squadrons were recalled, battleships attempted to regroup, and yet every move seemed futile. The humans were unpredictable, relentless, and terrifyingly effective. One ship, a single human Dreadnought, had shattered the illusion of Overlord invincibility. Kira looked out of the main viewport at the stars, each one now seeming to shine, a little brighter, as if acknowledging humanity's triumph. "Send a message to the sectors we've liberated," she ordered. "Let them hear our voice. Let them know that fear has lost its power over them." A calm, clear broadcast spread across thousands of star systems. "We are humans. We have fought and we will not bow. Your control is over. Join us, or face a choice of resistance and defeat. The galaxy belongs to no one. Humanity will protect it, and we will fight for freedom." Everywhere the message reached, it inspired hope, courage, and defiance. Civilizations that had once trembled before the Overlords were now rising, emboldened by the bravery of a single human ship. Systems once under strict control began to revolt, and fleets that had only known obedience hesitated, unsure of what to do. Humanity had ignited a spark across the galaxy, and it could not be extinguished. On the bridge, Kira allowed herself a moment to breathe. She looked at her crew, tired, bloodied, but unbroken, and felt a surge of gratitude and pride. They had faced death, chaos, and overwhelming power, and they had endured. Humanity had not only survived, it had triumphed. "Prepare to return to Earth," Kira said. "Our message has been sent. The galaxy knows who we are. We have struck fear into the heart of the Overlords, and that is a victory in itself. But this is only the beginning." The Titan's wrath began its journey home, a symbol of human courage and resilience. The Overlords panicked, their empire trembling, their pride shattered. Across the galaxy, civilizations whispered of the humans who dared to defy the impossible. Humanity's name, once insignificant and dismissed, now inspired hope and fear in equal measure. And somewhere, in the darkness of space, the Overlords realized that their reign would never be the same. One human Dreadnought had proven a truth the galaxy could not ignore. Courage, unity, and determination were weapons far stronger than technology, far stronger than fear. The stars themselves seemed to acknowledge it. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy would never forget. The Titan's wrath sailed through the quiet emptiness of space, battered but unbroken. Sparks still flickered along its hull, scars from the fierce battles it had survived. Inside, the crew moved with quiet pride. They had faced the impossible, stared into the heart of the Overlord Empire, and emerged victorious. Every human aboard felt the weight of history upon them. They were no longer merely soldiers. They were symbols of humanity itself, proof that courage, unity, and determination could overcome even the mightiest foes. Admiral Kira Santos stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the distant glow of Earth. She could feel the relief of returning home, yet the magnitude of their achievement weighed heavily on her heart. They had not just won a battle, they had changed the galaxy. Civilizations had seen what humans could do. They had witnessed defiance, ingenuity, and bravery in its purest form, and for the first time the galaxy trembled before humanity, not out of fear of destruction, but out of respect for a species that refused to bow. The crew shared glances, of quiet satisfaction, smiles breaking across exhausted faces. Pilots, engineers, and soldiers alike felt a deep sense of pride that words could not express. They had survived impossible odds, and in doing so, had rewritten the history of the stars. Children on Earth would hear tales of their bravery. Civilizations across countless systems would remember the day humanity refused to be conquered. Kira's hand rested on the console, steady, but gentle. She thought of every sacrifice that had led them here, the lives lost in training, the families left behind, the sleepless nights spent building weapons and strategies for a war no one thought they could win. Every choice, every hardship had led to this moment of triumph. Humanity had proven that they were not weak, not primitive, and not to be underestimated. "Admiral," Lieutenant Vale said quietly, breaking the reflective silence. "The galaxy, they're listening. Reports from multiple systems confirm the Overlords' fleets are scattered and rebellions are spreading. Humanity's reputation, it's becoming legend." Kira nodded, a small, proud smile touching her lips. "Good. Let them see the truth. Let them know that courage and determination matter more than fear and tyranny. Humanity has arrived." As the Titan's wrath neared Earth, the glow of the blue planet filled the viewport. Cities, forests, and oceans stretched endlessly, beautiful and fragile. For centuries, humans had been underestimated, ignored, and controlled. Now the world that had been told it was insignificant was a symbol of strength for the entire galaxy. The planet itself seemed to welcome them home, the stars reflecting the victory that had been won through grit, ingenuity, and unyielding will. Kira turned to her crew, her eyes shining with pride and emotion. "You have done something incredible," she said. "You have fought, survived, and inspired hope across the stars. Humanity will never be the same again, and neither will the galaxy. Remember this moment. Remember that we are not small. We are not weak. We are human, and that is our greatest strength." The crew cheered quietly, a mixture of exhaustion and triumph. They had survived impossible odds, and they had shown the universe what it meant to be human. From the smallest pea, the farthest stars, stories of the Titan's wrath would spread. Humans would be remembered, respected, and feared, not for cruelty but for courage, unity, and indomitable spirit. Kira gazed out at the stars one last time. The Overlords had learned a lesson they would never forget. Power could be challenged, fear could be overcome, and one species could change the course of the galaxy with nothing but determination, bravery, and heart. Humanity had risen, not with fleets or weapons alone, but with spirit. The Titan's wrath descended toward Earth, carrying heroes who had redefined what it meant to fight, survive, and triumph. The galaxy had witnessed a new dawn, the dawn of humanity. And in the hearts of every human, a quiet, unshakable truth burned. They were strong, they were brave, and they would never bow again. The stars, once distant and cold, now seemed to shine brighter, reflecting the fire of a species that refused to be controlled. Humanity had arrived, and the universe would never be the same.